everyone? I am the Kaiju no Kami with
Cruellica Kain.
And as you can see, it's only the two of us because everyone else is a bitch.
No, we are still living through the pandemic.
So? Hasn't stopped them before.
Well, if you honestly think about it, we're this far into the series.
Yeah, I know.
They would have to do a huge catch-up to be able to even participate.
Yeah, I know. Alright, whatever. We're going to be talking about Kiramager episodes 25 to 37, which had a lot happen in them.
Yeah, I actually have to admit, this is the first series for me in quite some time that has had this much character and story development, including the villains. So I'm quite happy that we actually get an opportunity to learn a little bit more about the villains, even if it's more of the silliness or what kind of drives them, as well as learning more about the core rangers and the auxiliary cast. Because when was the last series that we had that?
I don't remember. But it was funny because in our last video we talked about, oh man, hopefully there's going to be another villain showing up sometime soon, and a female villain maybe. And maybe they'll have a female villain who's an actual actress appear. And then in the next episode...
In episode 25, we have, this is called the Cute Shrine Maiden. And this is where we get the introduction to Yodonna. And I actually really like how the introduction played out because it looked like it was a lost teenager, essentially, who was kind of warming up to Take, or Yellow Ranger. And Tame. Yeah, Tame. And it was kind of interesting because it was Tame, Julu, and I always mess up. Silver's. Takamichi.
Yeah, Takamichi.
So when they're all together, they're looking for one of those stones, the Kanaema stones.
The Infinity Stones. Essentially,
yes. But they're hunting for one of the stones. This random shrine maiden who seems like she's lost or something's going on, she follows them around and she's asking all these questions of really... what makes a person happy? What's friendship? What's smiling?
What's laughing?
What's laughing? And just all of these random things. And I actually have to say it was kind of interesting to see a bait and switch, because you're like, oh, she's just going to be the character of the week. She's going to be the damsel in distress. And she inevitably gets her own Kira changer.
Yep, or the Yodonna changer is what they called it.
Yes.
Yep, and then she gets this weird design, which is, but a kind of a cool design. It's like this business-suited secretary type design.
With crows on her shoulders.
Yes. And then she likes to stick out her tongue a lot.
I don't know how I feel about that. I understand that's an element of playing off the craziness of the character. But it is weird because just randomly she'll like lean her head back and then start sticking out her tongue. I don't even know why they put on lipstick on her lips anymore, because lipstick doesn't taste all that good.
But I do like when she's like, oh, this is the part where I laugh, right?
Oh yeah, well, I don't know if she really asked this as much in the later episodes, but in the first few episodes of her introduction, she definitely asked, is this the part where I laugh? Because it's usually the most inappropriate time to laugh. So then we get to episode 26, which is where we get the introduction of a new weapon.
Oh yes, the time limit that has now disappeared bow.
Yes.
That was the one with the glue one, right?
Wow, you'd think I would... No, let's see.
With glue mask or whatever he was.
Bomb Jamin.
Oh, it was the bomb one.
Yeah. So this was an interesting one. I actually have to, even though it seems like we're not doing our research very well, there's just so many very creative monsters in this series. I actually really do like
Oh
how
yes,
the monsters
because
are.
this is the one where Yodonna separated the bomb into 5 different
Correct.
things.
She
So they
demonstrates a power.
Yes.
Because she demonstrates a power which definitely gets utilized later on in the series multiple times.
Because she can also then upgrade the grunts.
Yes, because, that's the 2 things that she proves within this episode, which is the reason why they have the new weapon. Because the arrow, when mainly it's Red who shoots it, but any of the Rangers can, when Juru shoots the weapon, it gives him kind of the best, like, what Green had from Gekiranger.
Oh, a shield?
A shield somewhat.
I'd say it's more closer to what they had in Ghostager, where they had just like armored on their chests.
Okay.
But at first, this can only work for like a minute. Or 90, was it a minute or 90 seconds?
It was 90 seconds.
Yeah, 90
They played off the whole Ultra thing.
But
or
yeah,
Garo.
but it makes them more powerful and a bit faster. So they play football with this bomb dude.
And it's kind of fun watching it because, especially with the Yodonna, basically the putties, as I think of them, they're greys.
The Muddites or whatever.
Muddites. Is that they become super strong and it becomes problematic, which is why they have the power-up. The power-up doesn't really affect much more at this moment in time outside of just upgrading their suits to give them some additional power. But it is cool for a gimmick. I really do like it. But outside of that, we just learn more about Yodonna. And that she is, like you said for the last episode, the secretary for Yodonna. She's a terrible secretary because she has no administrative skills, but... And then the next episode we have is Big Pinch Runner.
Which is the Gekiranger type episode.
Yes.
Where we get Mickey and her daughter from Gekiranger appearing, revealing that it really was the same scratch that we've seen on Sena's running gear the entire time.
Well, I also like the fact that it puts Gekiranger in the same universe because since Ron and Retsu, since they have both retired from acting, we'll never get that like anniversary episode. So this was a nice way of getting some kind of anniversary for them, just to see that the universe still does exist.
And then though, when they are talking like John to...
Oh my god! The only person who got it was Juru. I think Sena was just so confused.
Yeah, I'm with Sena on that one. Like, speak normally!
Everything they could make into John speak was definitely there. And I have to admit, the mother from Geki, she aged, but she still was as active because she was in her 30s in Gekiranger, I would say.
No, I think she was closer to 40s.
40s in Geki?
I think she was closer to 40s.
Because she looked like she was about her late 50s, mid 60s, but she was still, as an actress, very active. And having a child actor come back 15 years later as well, she definitely grew up as well.
She still looked like her character in the Ongaro series.
She did. But it's nice to actually have reminders of past Sentai actors, because I think for the fandom, not so much us because we were already adults when it aired, but you basically grow up with those characters. It's like watching a Gekiranger. Just like that fanning out that you see an actor or actress that you remember from back in the day. This was another one where Yodonna was trying to steal the technology and basically played speed with Sena.
Yep, only it was...
So the monster is actually a belt that if she goes under a certain speed, she blows up. And they actually did an homage to Speed, I would say slightly, in how they would manage her going past vehicles, managing the speed. I'm like waiting for Keanu Reeves to come out of nowhere, make some crack pun. But I personally thought it was funny because they were trying to make it work where they could have her go into a bridge and do a bait and switch.
And then after that we had...
So the next episode is Crying Shiguru.
Yes, that's where they had to finally get Embark.
So yes, Embark, who was introduced...
No, he wasn't.
This episode, right?
Yeah, he was introduced this episode.
So
I thought you were going to say prior.
No, he was introduced this episode, and he was basically the stone, so to speak, for Ordon. Orden. And he was super loyal to him, and apparently he would not go to work for anyone else unless they could... not really tug at his heartstrings, because he's a stone, but impress him. And, well, actually, the one thing we haven't mentioned is all of the episodes were character development for the other rangers outside of Juru. Like, 25 was Tame, 26, I don't think it was really a development episode for anyone, but 27 was an episode
for Sena.
For Sena, 28, which we're on now, was the development for Shiguru, to kind of demonstrate why he's an actor. And if you've seen Frozen 2, and you see this whole music video thing that Kristoff does in the movie where he's singing, but it's like an 80s song with like bad graphics in the background. This is what Shiguru does. And he hams it up. Like, you think he is like play acting as the worst actor in the world. Like, he's legitimately a terrible actor because he has a very fragile ego. But apparently, no, he just plays that part very well. To the point where he gets Embark to actually cry.
And Embark also likes to talk a lot. But then we have, we had the next one, was the next one the two-parter? With Pink?
The next one is Illusionary Atamald. So this is where...
okay, they meet King Oridan.
So this is actually... No, this is where they start to look for Oridan.
Yeah.
So they don't meet him yet.
Okay, this is when they look for him. Because Juru gets the key... Or, no, Juro got the key in the previous episode because that's what sent them to go to Embark.
Correct, yes. So, he gets this random dream saying, come and see me, and gets a key. So they start going to Atamald. And basically Atamald is Earth with Crystallians.
No. It's Japan with Crystallians.
And humans.
Because...
it's Sentai. So so it's like a nice futuristic type planet, and they have to go search for Oridan. And they go into, basically I think of it as like Alice in Wonderland meets It, where they have all these doors that take them to
fight their evil versions.
Yes.
And it was Pink that had the cool evil version, right?
Yeah, she had like the super ultra emo goth version.
That came off like a horror movie.
Oh my god, she would be a great horror movie actress if she hasn't done anything like that yet. Usually Sentai is most people's first or second role, so it's hard to say. But, so this episode is basically focused on getting them to Atamald, as well as Galza, who...
Garza.
Well, Garza.
Garza.
Whatever, they call him Galza here.
Yeah, but it's Garza in the subs we watch.
Well, nevertheless, Yodonna basically says to Garza, Orden is still alive, but basically he looks like Han Solo from Star Wars.
Carbonite.
Because it literally does look like Carbonite. I have a Lego version of this Carbonite.
And then Jur goes and finds Orden, and when they take him, they think the Orden body has disintegrated and he's dead. Only he's now...
He goes in this mystical stone that's in the middle of the city.
That turns into a phoenix.
Yes. Because Phoenix is right.
That's just down wrong.
But no, it's actually kind of cool to have Orden, because I kind of got the feeling, even from the first, from the series, that he wasn't dead.
I called that he wasn't going to be dead. I said, oh, they're not going to kill him.
Well, no, it seemed too convenient how they set it up that he would be dead. Cruellica really hasn't had too much of a part in these last few episodes, except for being a background side snarkiness. I think he was freaking out when he found out that Orden was still alive too, because he was pouting a little bit that he did not know that Orden was still alive and there.
And then, so our next episode should be the...
Proud Super Warrior.
Yes! The one with Kiramager Gold!
So this is kind of part 2, as you were saying, because it is kind of a two-parter, because this is where they get the upgrades. So, in this episode, Embark and Orden come back to Earth, and...
Well, no. Orden went back to...
Atamald.
Yes.
And Embark went to his random island. And so they don't have a way to call Orden when they need help. You'd think they would have thought about this in advance. Like when Orden's like, catch you later, and leaves. No forethought of what the plan is. So Hakata Minami, sorry, I have to say this again. Hakata Minami, mainly because it's important for the end of the episode, he borrows the arrow.
The bow.
And he does it in a very, like, suspicious way. He's like, I'm going to take this. And disappears. Everybody is, like, freaking out because, obviously, they need the power-up. Because this particular week, the monster is there, super strong, and they have no way to defeat him. Because Yodonna and everybody takes advantage of Orden being gone. Well, everybody's trying to go in there and take the bow back.
Well, no, they're also thinking that he's...
No. It's Takamichi who puts into their head that he's going to become the 7th Ranger. And not only does he put it into their head, they actually show a full transformation sequence of him.
Of Kiramager Gold. Because they automatically just assume gold would be the next Ranger color.
And I think what was hardest about it is that you constantly get these like hints that maybe he will. He's acting like it. He looks like he's trying to change. And then even when Hakata Minami comes out to give them the bow, and Takamichi's like, well, aren't you going to transform? He's like, I'm too old for that. Personally, I was super excited. I wanted to summon.
And then it turns out that he upgraded the bowl so that they can summon Orden at any time. And because he had a pact with Orden that he can bring Orden in any time he requested, and Orden would come. And then, so after that episode, which also, and Orden and Embark combine into a new mech form to form their next mech.
I actually like how the head combines. Because it basically, the head of the Phoenix is the middle part, like the center of the head, and then the two sides of Embark come to clasp it together. Now, obviously, Juru runs this mech. And now, at this point in time, we have 4 separate mech.
So the next one is the Toys episode.
I'll let you go on this, because I love this episode.
Well, it was a literal toy commercial. The Yodonna shrinks the mechs.
By accident.
By accident, a little boy finds them and thinks they're toys, and then, so he's playing around with them and transforming them and everything. He's like doing all this stuff like, oh, they can transform, and we get to see a transformation scene. And so it was a literal toy commercial.
I think the scariest and coolest part about the transformation scene is you hear the mechs cringing and grunting as they're getting positioned around against their will. It's like watching a horror movie, but with cutesy toys.
But I really liked the effect they used the superimposing effect of having the mechs, like when they were actually talking to the kid, and they're on his table just chatting with him, where they're just imposed in to be tiny. I did think they did a really nice job of that, doing that effectively.
Well, I also really like the storytelling, because one thing that we really haven't had this season, or this series, is a lot of kids of the week. Like a random kid of the week being the one in distress. So having a kid be a part of the story, so to speak, was kind of nice, because it was reminiscent of like more of a 90s series.
Oh, speaking of, also, I can't remember which episodes before that, when they're fighting the monster and they're playing like basically catch, and the Muddites have the item they need, and the scenes are like filmed as if it's like one continuous shot.
Well, that is that's where you're coming with the pink episode, and no, that's coming up.
Is that okay? Because I know 30.
Because that's with the pink episode with her former.
Okay.
With her lost love. But this was a nice change of pace too, because it was kind of a character development episode for the mechs.
That, and then, yeah, so then the next one were a two-parter.
Well, there's something about Sayo. This is the episode that you're thinking about.
Yeah, this was a two-parter with Sayo and her former doctor friend who went to America for school, for something. He's back. Everyone's thinking he's gonna propose to her, and it turns out that he's actually doing a project for Yodonna. But this one had incredible camera work. I've posted on Twitter and Facebook a little video clip of this scene where we have where the Rangers, Tame and Juru, are on the ground fighting the Muddites as we have a mech battle going on in the background, and how they just react like when one sword lands in the ground, they all like look behind like, whoa! And then when an explosion happens from a missile from the mech fight, they all like jump because they're all fluid with the explosion and everything. It was such an incredible sequence, and I guess those episodes were directed by the guy who directed Ultraman Z, which explains a lot.
Well, I think the most impressive thing about it was the acting skill of everyone, both in suit and out of suit, for the Rangers. Because Sayo has been kind of on the fringe. She's a great actress, the woman who plays her, but she hasn't had the chance to really demonstrate her wealth of knowledge.
Well, and I think because for me, she's been the weakest character up to this point.
She has. And watching her demonstrate her knowledge and demonstrate her strength at the same time, because all of the other characters have gotten to demonstrate what their skill is. And she's done it in minute periods before, but not to the degree where she could actually go in, look at something scientifically, be able to problem solve as she was going, and inevitably create the big bad Yodonna that would destroy the world. But still, it was pretty impressive. And then having it kind of be almost like a heist movie or heist film for the second half of the episode, after when everything's going down and everybody needs to figure out how to save Sayo, how to protect the world. It was very epic.
But I love the fact that all the Kiramagers, they couldn't help her because she was below ground, so she couldn't get a signal out. So apparently intergalactic traveling space devices don't work under Earth ground.
Yeah, so unfortunately they also need towers, just like our cell phones. So the next episode comes Giant Panic.
Well, that was the one I was just on.
Oh,
that's where
yes.
that big mech battle came from.
So then the next one we have is Blue and Yellow Passion. This episode is where Tame and Shiguru play games, and Juru is envious of how cool they look playing billiards.
And this is the one where Yodonna poisons Blue with the witch's mask from that they had killed in the past to be able to save
yes. So
Mabushina.
And it's kind of cool because Juru, being a high school kid, being kind of a fragile type character, but not fragile because he's quite strong, but fragile and connecting with other people, which we really get to deal with in a later episode. But he admires both Tame and Shiguru because they have that confidence that he doesn't have. So it's actually a really good episode on not really mental illness, but the introverted tendencies of not knowing how to connect with other people, which I think is kind of important because you really don't have that quality for a red. But I did like how Tame and Shiguru would have to work together to fight Yodonna.
Yep, and then our next episode has Mabushina getting drunk.
Oh, God. So...
And we have Yodonna learning what ice cream is and falling in love with it.
So, it's called Wandering Mabushina, and I personally think how they tell the story, in my personal opinion, is kind of like Pulp Fiction. Because it is not told in order.
Nope, it's not linear. Mabushina wakes up all dirty, the control console's all broken to pieces, and then they start to learn what happened that led to that sequence and what happened after all of that.
So, I think...
Like when they pull the mech out of the water and find the monster in there instead of her
brother. So, we come to find out that for Crystallians, they get drunk drinking green tea. Not wine, not sake, tea. We don't find this out, so when we find this out, Takamichi, because Hakata Minami is like, yeah, I'm letting Mabushina drink some tea. And right when she's starting to bring it to her mouth, Takamichi's like, no! So the next thing you find is Mabushina, because you see the control thing broken. That's basically the end of her drunken phase. She's got a tie on her forehead, like a normal drunken Japanese person, apparently. And everything is destroyed. Her brother is now in the giant
Well,
mech.
he's missing at the time.
Well, he's missing. So they have to go through this path of trying to figure out what she did.
We have Maji Yellow as the ice cream seller.
Maji Yellow is the ice cream vendor who is scared to death of her. Mabushina, who basically was in awe of her at that time because
You mean Yodonna?
Yodonna. Because Yodonna finds Mabushina, and Mabushina comes up to her drunk, asking her all these random questions. And basically all the villains just kind of stand back and watch.
And then she gets an ice cream thrown into her mouth, and Yodonna's like, oh, this is actually pretty good.
Yeah, to the point where she actually...
Buy some more later.
No, I don't think she buys.
More.
She basically carjacks the...
Bike jacks?
Whatever. She basically steals all of the ice cream. It's a very chill situation.
Ha ha ha. Silver Quill would be so proud.
But it was, I would say, probably one of the funniest filler episodes.
It was weird, though, to have such a silly episode after so many episodes of serious,
but I kind of,
serious plot development.
I personally think we needed it, though. Because
oh, I'm not saying it.
Sometimes you need that levity.
It's just funny how that happened. That it was just, oh, okay, this is kind of weird to have something so silly.
I loved it, though.
And then after that, we had our rap battle episode.
So, when I saw in the trailer that we were getting a rap battle episode, you looked at me like I was insane. I was like, oh my god, this is going to be so cool. So, I'm not going to spoil it because the lyrics are definitely attributed to each of the characters. However, I will say, hearing Cruellica talk about dissing people was...
90s!
Yes, the 90s was strong within him.
And then you and Yodonna came in the...
So, I will say the top tier rappers were Yodonna and Fire. Cruellica, though, he went straight for the guts. But Yodonna could actually do a really good flow. So could Fire, and then when Fire came in is when Juru actually had a good flow. Because he was very stilted with his flow. Because the one thing about rap battles, obviously you don't know anything about this, is they're supposed to be lyrical poetry. Unlike actual rap songs, the rap battles have to flow back and forth where you're almost having like this lyrical... off-the-cuff poetry at each other. Where, yes, you are slamming each other like a comedy, but as the rapper had said at the end, you do it in grace. You're not doing it to actually cut deep. You're doing it because it's supposed to be fun.
Well, I don't get how Juror won, but whatever.
It was Sentai. He was going to.
Well, I know. I just don't understand how.
Oh, it was fantastic.
I just don't understand how it went from being that Yodonna was at the winning point.
Yodonna was incredible. When she walked on stage in her 90s girl ghetto fabulous look, because she looked straight out of the TLC era of the 90s. For anybody who's under the age of 15, you might have to look that up.
Ask your parents.
Yeah, ask your parents. But, actually, probably under the age of 20, sadly, because one of the members of the band died. But, she got her head in a car crash.
Okay.
But, so, it was really cool to watch all of that. And... I loved every second of it. I loved how it was kind of like an episode for Cruellica more than anything else. It was their Christmas episode because they were talking about the...
Crystalis thing.
Crystalla's Gratitude Day, which is basically Thanksgiving and Christmas put together for America.
And then the final episode that we have to cover was...
Which is a, oh my god, episode, because it was so cool.
We finally see the Yodon Emperor.
I'm going to let you talk about the Yodon Emperor because you seem to like his costume. Or his design.
Well, I like what I saw. I don't have any real opinion of it right now.
I like the three faces.
But the masks, yeah, that was pretty cool though, when you just see that like... blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it was actually very creative. Not going to spoil how he comes into being, because obviously we want you to still watch the episodes because it was so cool.
And it was another episode to develop Sena.
It was, which I'm very proud of, the fact that they're doing so much development for all of the characters.
But Sena is split into five different personalities.
So yes, this is the third time we've had something split into 5.
Well,
by Yodonna.
actually, I do like the one thing with Cruellica. Oh, you split yourself into 5, one's dead? Yeah, so you're a discount Cruellica? But yeah, we have 5 different versions of Sena with different personalities. We have the one which made me think of Inside Out with the way they were done.
Oh, it was very well done. But no, I like that idea of Inside Out because that, except you didn't have one that was raging. I was like, I want somebody with anger issues.
But you had the one that was all the depressed one and the sitting in the corner and everything.
The worst case scenario one. Which I really did understand and appreciate because you need to have that worst case scenario element in your life.
Yeah, but for you, everything's a worst case scenario.
That's because I'm in human resources. I work with people. But no, it was super, super cool. The entire episode, I enjoyed it because even though you had the silliness of Sena, it was also another great episode of talking about fitting in. I think that's a really cool personal appreciation I have for it, is it talks about through all of its episodes how anyone can fit in no matter who they are. And that's something you very rarely have as an underlying message in a lot of these shows. Because the worst case scenario, or the depressed one, didn't feel like she could fit in and be a detriment because she's depressed. So since she's not as happy and overly spirited as the other 4 counterparts of Sena, and then the other rangers thought the same thing. Well, shouldn't we remove the depression because that could be a weakness?
And then she kicks Garza's ass badly, and then they find out, oh, we kind of do need that one.
Well, because she had no concept of
being cautious.
Well, it's a perfect example if you think about with the whole Inside Out reference. Joy did not think that having a little bit of sadness in it would help make a more well-rounded person. So this was really a Inside Out episode.
Mm-hmm.
Good job. Now.
All right. And then I guess the only other thing we have to talk about before we head out for what we've had so far were the character ending songs.
So, if you're not familiar with Sentai, and they really haven't done too much of it, they did it in other series as well, but I feel like this one has really made it a big deal.
It's the first one in several years I've done character specific ones.
So each character has had the chance to do their own, and this is a very popular thing in Japan. They even back in the 90s for anime would have character CDs where each of the voice actors would sing a song about their respective characters. And yeah, it's been a while since they've done it, so I was very surprised, and they made a whole spectacle about it because each of the endings would have a respective mech talking about the characters you're supposed to sing.
But a lot of them were pretty bad.
So I think my favorites, Tommy did a good job, but he sang in the actual episode.
Tommy and Shiguru did pretty good on theirs.
Well, I think for Tommy, since he sang in an episode, in a prior episode, it proved he knew how to sing. And then for Shiguru, he basically sang the full song of the song that
he was doing for
Bark.
Yep.
Then so you got to hear the whole song.
Then Hakatomine.
Hakata Minami.
Yeah. His was pretty good too, which again, he's shown that he's a singer. But then we have...
So Juru is adorable. He cannot carry a tune to save his life. He tried though. Sena, she was okay. Sayo, I really did. She could carry a tune, but she was very flat.
Yes, she was the best. Yeah, Sena was not bad.
No.
Sayo was horrible.
Sayo could carry a tune, but like I said, she was kind of flat.
No, hers was. I don't. Maybe I got them mixed up.
Takamichi. Well, no, Sena was better of the two.
Okay.
Because both of them carry a tune. Takamichi, though, basically, you ever hear actual nails on a chalkboard? There are certain actors and actresses in this world who are not meant to sing. I know in Japan, they look for that well-rounded quality where you can sing, you can act, you can dance. It's almost like a prerequisite in Japan that if you can't just be one type of actor. You have to be able to navigate all three. Now, there probably are many actors who can't navigate all three, which we clearly saw here. But I don't think that should diminish their worth, because Takamichi is a great actor. He's great with stunts. He just can't sing. So I don't hear him doing idol songs anytime soon.
But yeah, that is pretty much it for this batch of Kiramager episodes.
But we are coming on to, I feel like we have, 8 episodes left?
Yeah, there's 8 episodes left.
So I feel like we're at, hopefully, because we now had the introduction of Emperor Yodonna, that we might actually have the build-up for a final arc.
Which we've had so much story. I mean, I actually feel like we would be at this point in the mid-40s.
Well, exactly. So I kind of feel like we might have 1 or 2 more filler episodes. So, depending on how it works out, because for the preview for the next episode, it is kind of going to be fillerish, but I imagine it has a purpose.
Well, I think because we just had a Sayo episode, we just had a Sena.
This is a Takamichi episode.
Yeah,
because it's going to be a Takamichi and Garza episode.
It'll probably be his final development episode for his final standalone.
Yes, because it seems like this show is going on the run of having at least 2 development episodes per character.
Oh, they've had more than that.
No, I know, but they're running on that actual guideline of at least 2 to 3 development episodes per character. And that includes Mabushina and Hakata Minami.
And even Orden had development.
Well, so I feel like Garza is getting more development this episode because we're seeing a flashback to who he was. So maybe it can start answering some more questions, because Takamichi being a prince, you're going to get a little bit more into what his life was like as well. Because it seemed like in prior episodes, Takamichi and Garza had a closeness. Mm-hmm. Like there was a closeness of uncle-nephew that I'm hoping this explains a little bit more of.
But yeah, I think, because I'm figuring, since we just had Sena get 1 episode, and the episode before that with, that was Mabushina.
Yes.
So this will probably get the last, each ranger will have their own final focus episode.
But I'm hoping if they continue with the theme of doing a character development plus story, because even some of their filler episodes, like the Mabushina one, still had little tidbits of story.
Well, yeah, because we had the Sayo 2-parter. Yeah, but what I'm saying is that at this point, Sena's development episodes should be done now, because she just had one at this late stage.
Yes, I think we'll get another of Juru,
another Shiguru,
and another Tame.
Mm-hmm.
I think Juru, Tame, and Shiguru are probably going to be the last 3 that we get.
And then it'll be all, the last 5 episodes will be all, well, or last 4 episodes by that point will be the end
And that's if they, because we had a 2-for-1 with Shiguru and Tame in a development episode, so we could squeeze on by of getting another one of Juru and potentially Hakata Minami or Orden, and then be final arc.
which I'm figuring is going to be the last 4 episodes will be the final arc.
No, I think that's fair. I think it'll probably be the last 5 because if we go on the normal spectrum of Sentai, or even Toku in general, the last episode's going to be half final battle, half post-story.
Well, either way, this show's been doing really good. Really did a lot of stuff in these last batch of episodes.
And can I say one thing that I'm fearing?
What?
Now that we're at this point, because we are so close to getting more for the next Sentai, I'm fearing what we had with Bill, or not Bill, 01 is going to happen here. That, because when we got to this point in 01, we started hearing more about Saber, and we started fearing the next series. And then it came to fruition why we should fear the next series. I'm kind of feeling...
Okay.
I'm starting to get that panic.
Alright, let's just end this video right here. Until next time, have a new year. Bye.
Happy 2021!